Hi everybody, welcome to Paul Programs. Today we're going to be talking about how you can get started creating a Unity project. So for some of you this may seem like we're going back to basics, but with every good project you have to have a great foundation set. First, we're going to take a look at how you can get Unity on your own machine. Then we're going to see how we can get started with a project. And lastly, I'll show you some tips and tricks for how I actually get started with all the projects that I work on.
Here we are at the Unity website. So this is basically your main hub for anything related to Unity. Some of the things I actually wanted to point out were up here on the tab section, so you can see solutions. With Unity, it actually has a few options for different industries that it's being used in right now, like games, automotive, film, etc. Then we also have Made with Unity, which will highlight different projects that have been made using Unity. There's the Learning tab, where you can go to Unity Learn and other places to actually find courses and material to learn more about how to use Unity. And with everything going on right now, Unity Learn Premium is actually free for the next few months. Then we have the support section for getting your documentation and any kind of help you need using the engine. And lastly, we have our community section where you'll have the blog, forums, and other ways of keeping up with everything going on with Unity. So that covers some of the cool things that are on the site, but really what we want is get started. So let's click that. All right, here we are on the Unity pretty much plans and things like that. So we want to actually click on individual, and because this is a small time operation, and we definitely don't do this amount, so we're going to want to actually select personal getting started. But if you're a student and you have verification, you can sign up for the student version, which pretty much is the same as the premium version of Unity, just for student access basically. So you can learn the engine and how the things work behind it. So click get started, and then once you've clicked getting started, you wait a moment and Unity will actually start downloading. While you're waiting for it to finish downloading, you have the ability to look at some of the things you can do in Unity, like they have a place for first-time users or returning users. Then they talk about all the different micro games you can work with here, personalized mods, so you can actually modify some of the micro games they have, and then just ways to share your games as well. And with that, once this is downloaded, we can actually jump in and get started.
Now that you have Unity Hub downloaded and have it opened up, one of the first things you'll see is the different tabs on the left right here. Most of the time when Unity opens up, it'll start you off in the projects. Here are where all your different game projects that you're working on are. It lets you know what version of Unity that it's using, what platform it's targeting, and the last time you updated it. Next thing we want to take a look at is the Learn tab. This is where you pretty much go for all the different tutorials, and you can download them with ease right into Unity so you can begin working on them. Next we have the Community tab, which has quick links to the different parts of the Unity community that you can reach. But the most important part for right now is installs. So when you first install Unity Hub, you have no Unity engines actually installed. So what you're actually going to want to do is hit this add button right here in the top right corner, and it's going to tell you to select a version of Unity. The versions with LTS are your long-term support releases. These are pretty much the most stable versions of Unity that they'll still get updates, but they're also not seeing too many new features or additions into them. Then you have our 2019 version, which is not an LTS yet because it's still being finalized. This version is the one that has the most up-to-date features that are stable, basically. Below that, you have your alpha and beta versions, which are great places for any users to test out any new potential releases or features that are being worked on. So by going and downloading either of these, you get to test the newest stuff, but things may not be as stable as something that's already been set to LTS or is an official release. We're going to want to click on Next. And this is all the different modules that you can actually install for your Unity game engine. So you can select to set up for Android builds, iOS builds, tvOS, WebGL, so on and so forth. You can have so it downloads documentation, and then you can have different language packs downloaded for various languages. So once you actually hit Next on that, it'll actually begin installing your version of Unity. Now that you actually have Unity, we can actually begin diving into the bread and butter of how to really get started. So we're back on our Learn tab. Here, there's all sorts of different pretty much projects that you can start with, and they give you a nice template of things to test, try out, practice with, And each of these will have a little bit of a mini tutorial of things you can do in there, how to work with it. So as you can see, these are the big three that they push. I recommend starting off with the FPS micro game for learning, but before you even jump into that, really the most important thing you need to do is learn how to work in Unity. And that's where I recommend going to the tutorials tab. In the tutorials tab, it'll go over all the different basics of working with different aspects of Unity, from scripting to performance, lighting, and pretty much like cinema stuff. But I definitely recommend going to using the Unity interface first. This is going to be your main spot for learning how to actually work in Unity and all the different things you can do with it. And just get used to the interface so this way it doesn't seem as intimidating compared to just jumping in without any real guidance or help. Right. The final thing I wanted to talk about before we go into looking at how I handle things is actually creating a project. So now we're back in our projects tab. Yours will probably look pretty empty since you haven't actually started a project yet. To actually start a project, you actually click the new button on the top right corner here. Then you would choose the type of project you want to work with. Is it 2D, 3D with some extra features? Are you working with high definition or just the universal rendering pipeline? Once you set that, then you can set the name of your project and the folder where you want your project to be located. After all that's said and done, you hit create, and then your project will be created. All right, and that covers how you can get your own Unity project set up and going. But you may be wondering how I do things. Well, the basics is templates. I use templates, or at least a folder template, which sets up a structure for how I work with assets within Unity. So let's actually jump into Unity right now and see how you can get it set up just the way I do. Here we are in our starter Unity project. Pretty much as you can see, there's nothing going on when you first create a project. It's pretty bare and there's really nothing to do. So what we're actually going to do is use some templates. I've actually created a set of folders that I like to use for my personal structure when working on projects. Everyone's going to have their preferred way of working, but this is the way I like to do it. So let's actually drag this window explorer so you can see what's going on. So these are all the different folders that I have and use when working on a project. What I like to do before I even start putting any scenes, assets, or anything into the actual project I'm working on is take this set of folders and then just drag them right into assets. So what that's going to do is it's going to import all these folders into there, so it helps me have some structure. You can see here it kind of duplicated the scenes folder. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take the scene that's in here, move it into here. And we're going to delete this folder and rename it. But usually what I do is it's actually easier to do this from the File Explorer because it'll just merge and overwrite folders where it needs to. But to keep it quick, just showing you that you can actually drag the folders right into Unity and bam, everything's set up. All my different folders. This is where I would put animations. This is where audio goes, split up between music and sound effects. Through different user interface things, I have a fonts and textures folder. When it comes to layouts, this is here. Then there's materials folder for I put all my materials, prefabs for my prefabs. Scenes lie here where I have levels and sandbox. And right now the sample scene that Unity starts with is in there. A place for my scripts where I can put all my scripts, or I can put specific scriptable or test scripts in. A folder for any potential settings, and then a place to put all my sprites. So this is big when I'm working in 2D games especially. But basically, having a template set of folders helps you keep things structured and kind of get started like really quickly. So whatever structure is going to work for you is going to work for you. This is mine, but you need to create a structure that works best for you. And honestly, on bigger projects, I probably wouldn't use this structure because locating assets in terms of like bigger components and setups is a lot more difficult when you use something like this. At that point, I'd probably structure more around the types of objects and each of the components that relate to those more so than the individual like typings like I have here. The second thing I wanted to talk about when I first get started is this layout. So as you've seen in many of my other videos, when I open a project, the layout is very different than this. This layout's not bad, but if you want to see several things, like if you're trying to see your game and you're seeing it at the same time, having them tab over is not really that easy, because certain things, when you're actually in scene view, can be highlighted. You can see how they move. You can see where things are facing. So it's better for debugging purposes. But what I'm going to do here is show you how you can pretty much create your own custom layout. So if you actually go to window here, let's actually add, you know what, let's add animation. Perfect. We're going to add the animation screen. So as you see right here, it just appears as is. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to tab it into here. So now it lies here. So whenever we want to see animations, it's going to lie here. And then if we select our object, it'll let us create an animation like we discussed in the last video. But basically the main point is, now with this layout, it's easier for me to deal with animations while doing other things. Say I actually don't like the inspector on this side, or want it to be kind of closer to the hierarchy, then I can actually put it right below my hierarchy and then make adjustments, kind of resize where I need to. All right, so as a temporary layout, this actually isn't that bad. But unfortunately, when working on new projects, this layout isn't saved, so you would have to redo this all over again. Thankfully, Unity puts some features in to make it easier to save and swap between layouts. So we go, let's see, up here, we go Window, you're going to choose Layouts, and then you hit Save Layout. Up in the right corner, it'll let you put in the name, so we're going to call this Getting Started Layout. Boom. Now we have our layout. So say we wanted to swap back to default, it would do that. And say that was actually an accident and that's not what we wanted to do. So yeah, you can also access your layouts here. So let's go here and boom. Now we have our layout back to the way we set it. And if we are in another project that has a default layout, we can just do that to make it look and feel the way we prefer working. Hopefully, with these tips, you'll be able to work smarter, not harder. Because the most important thing in game development is being efficient and making the best use of your time. So, if this has been helpful for anyone trying to get started in using Unity, let me know below in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, let me know in the comments below as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.